Thrilled. As of November, I had celebrated my 15th year with the organization. I started out in the public relations department. I was hired on as a service guru, was able to grow my role, and I learned from an external coach how to provide the service that we provide now. So I actually became trained and validated as an internal coach many years ago, and I've been able to really excel in my craft. And in case you're wondering, well, wait a minute. Now, I thought you said something about mindfulness, and where does that fit in? Well, I'll tell you, talk about being a lifelong learner. So just over a year ago this past December, I was very fortunate to graduate with my master's degree. So boy, 20 some years after my undergrad, that wouldn't ever happen in my lifetime, but really, really grateful. I'm just going to give a quick plug for Concordia University. Amazing experience, and really enjoyed it, and never thought I would love school so much as I do. Turns out I'm a nerd and I love school, and it turns out as an adult I'm really good at it too. And so what I wanted to study was really the impact of mindfulness on, and my capstone was actually the impact of mindfulness on effective leadership. So I'm very, very passionate about this topic. Not only was I passionate about it from a personal perspective, I was just curious how to get out of some of this frenetic action that goes on in our minds. You know, there's so much going on. Our society is getting busier and busier, and there's all these things coming at us. And so I wanted to learn how to really simplify that for myself. And then we also started learning about that in terms of mindfulness in the workplace. So I am a certified, what's known as a Life XT or Life Cross Training Coach. And that was an organization that Froedtert Health had partnered with. So I became trained as a coach who can speak to others on subjects such as mindfulness, meditation, ways for us to be our best selves. And so very, very exciting timing of all of that. Worked out really well for my education and again for my professional and personal growth. So kind of give you a little bit of background as to my passion around this and my enthusiasm. I am a very informal presenter. So I do invite you, if at any time you have questions, you've got a comment, maybe something didn't land well, or maybe you've got a story to share, I would like to invite you to know that this is a safe place to share and that I welcome your acknowledgement and also contributions at any given time. Now, I do want to be respectful of time, and my understanding, I just want to clarify, Cindy, I've got an hour with this, right? So I need to be wrapped up. So I'll get the cane at 7 o'clock. All right, I've got that one. I know. All right. I get really, really passionate about my speaking and about my opportunity. So this tonight, what we're doing is a very high level overview. I've had opportunities where I've done 4-hour workshops, been very, very blessed to be able to be a keynote. Thank you very much, Cindy. Lots of different opportunities where we could spend a lot of time around this. But again, this is just an opportunity to kind of dip our toes into this. So are you guys ready to talk about mindfulness and how this impacts your heart and the way that it can benefit you and the life you lead? Ready? All right, let's do this then. Woo! Okay, who's fired up? Okay, so, oh, and by the way, Cindy was kind enough, and I do apologize for anyone on the phone, but I believe you've got a link to the slides. Yes, Cindy's giving me the nod electronically. We do have handouts. So if anyone's, I know sometimes people like to make notes on things, and we have heard that at past presentations. So I will just hand these around, and if anyone would like one, please feel free to take that and go ahead and make notes as you like. So I just would like to take a minute and talk about what I would like to accomplish in the remaining time that we have together. So I'd like to start with something called an arrival, and I'll go over that in just a minute. Want to really just offer, again, high-level introduction. So again, we could talk all day long about this. This is really our opportunity just to kind of dip our toes in the water on it. And I'd like to invite you to, again, have some dialogue around this. So if there's something that's particularly interesting to you, I'd invite you to go ahead and jump in. We'll have an introduction to mindfulness. And what I'd love to give for you tonight, my gift to you, are some simple daily practices that you can take away. So if you're thinking, wow, I really like this and I like how this could benefit me and will, by the way. How can I learn more? I'm going to give you some daily practices that you can take with you. And what I invite you to think about is with any learning, don't try to take it all on. It's like going to the gym and deciding I'm going to go there 7 days a week and I'm going to do everything while I'm there. You know, it's going to be overwhelming. Think about one thing, maybe one thing that really speaks to you. So we'll talk a little bit about the power of positivity, one of my favorite superpowers. Go over our key takeaways and then we'll wrap up. How does that sound? All right, we're nodding in the room. Hopefully you guys with me on the phone. I'll take that as a yes. All right then. So what I want to do first, I want to start us out with what's called an arrival. And if you don't mind just zipping us to the next, thank you. What an arrival is an opportunity for us to simply center ourselves. So wherever you were before this, whatever you brought with you, because we're walking in the door, right? I know I was walking in the door thinking, am I in the right place? Where's the elevator? Okay, she said to look for the Living Well sign. All right, here I am. So I'm bringing all of this like directional stuff in my head. What I want to do is my first takeaway for you is walk you through what's called an arrival. And for those of you that are eating dinner, please do not feel you have to stop, okay? Do not feel you have to stop. You just keep right on. But what I want to invite, and please, everyone on the phone, let's go ahead and let's try this. I want to invite you to get nice and comfortable in your chairs. And if it feels right, to put both your feet on the ground. And again, only if it feels comfortable to you. I would also invite you to either, you put your hands in your lap, you can rest them on the table. Just go ahead and like get nice and comfortable. Chairs are good, okay? All right, and now I want to invite you to close your eyes, if it feels right to you. Another option is simply to gaze softly at the floor. And what I want you to do is simply bring your attention to your body. And I just want you to take a few breaths and really enjoy that, feeling that oxygen enlivening your body. And then as you exhale, I want to invite you to enjoy that feeling of relaxing more deeply. You may notice that your feet are feeling heavy on the floor. You may notice a tingling, lightness even, be a heaviness. Allow yourself to feel rooted in your chair, comfortable, supported. Bring your attention to your stomach area. If it feels tight or tense, simply allow it to relax. Notice your hands. Feeling you're gripping them tightly. If so, allow them to relax. Think about your shoulders, your neck. We hold a lot of tension there. Allow them to just relax. Pull those shoulders away from your ears. We wear them around our ears a lot. Bring your attention to your jaw area. We hold a lot of tension in our jaw area. Now remember, your eyes are closed, so you can go ahead, you can open your jaw, you can move it around, nobody sees you. So go ahead and allow that jaw to just really feel loose, feel gentle. And now I just want you to notice your whole body being present. Go ahead and take a few more nice breaths. Enjoy that oxygen. Let it in, let it out. And then when you feel ready, I invite you to go ahead and open your eyes. How did that feel? So for those of you that are on the phone, what you may not see in the room is seeing a lot of expressions of contentment. A lot of people looking very relaxed. So thank you for partaking in that. An arrival is a wonderful opportunity where we can get really present and centered where we need to be. How many times have you walked into, whether it's a formal meeting or even a lunch with a friend, and you feel like you're bringing everything with you? The drive over was terrible and people were cutting me off and it was crazy and you're bringing all that energy with you. And arrival is a great opportunity where you can say, you know what, right now, I'm just going to get really focused. I'm just going to be very present with this moment. And arrivals, just so you know, you guys, you can do them any which way you want. You don't need a guided meditation to go through it, but it was kind of nice, wasn't it? I'm not going to lie. When I've done them, I'm like, oh, I wish I could have this every day. Even if you just said, maybe you're going into an appointment and you feel tense about it. And we'll talk a little bit more about stressful moments in just a moment. What if we just said, you know, before I walk in, I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to let that air out. Right? It makes a difference. So arrivals can come in all different shapes and sizes. So I just want to point that out. That's your first great takeaway. Look at that. You didn't even have to be here for 5 minutes. All right, we're ready for the next one, John. So I'm curious for anyone in the room, and please, I invite you on the phone too. What is your experience when you hear mindfulness? Did that resonate with anyone? And it's okay if it didn't. I'm just curious. Does anyone have any background in mindfulness? Anyone done something like this in the past? Any yogis in the room? Did I see nodding? Were you nodding?
Yeah.
So you've done some mindfulness, sir?
Yeah. I had a heart transplant.
Okay.
And they taught us, like, during some of our procedures to breathe in certain ways to breathe and stuff.
Fantastic. Those of you on the phone, if you didn't hear that, we were just talking about actually learning during a medical experience. So while in the hospital, which I will tell you guys, that's huge right now. That's really, so just so you know, mindfulness is not anything, it's not a new practice. Mindfulness has been around for 2,500 years. So the Buddhist monks were doing this a long, long time ago. It's new though in the healthcare setting. In the real, like, corporate America. Do you know that companies like Target, Aetna, Google, that's part of their employee experience. They actually have opportunities for people to learn this because they know of the benefits. And I'm so excited to talk to you guys about the benefits because they're tremendous. And this isn't just a, oh, only these people would do it. It's really, this is something that benefits every one of us. So thank you for sharing that. I'm really excited. Want to make sure to honor any voices on the phone. Was there anyone on the phone that wanted to share? Okay, I'm not.
They'll type in as a chat.
Okay, sounds good. So you'll just give me a, don't give me the finger, give me a finger. I'm teasing. Yes, Cindy.
I've heard some presentations and presenters talking related to nutrition about mindful eating.
Yes.
Just to, in terms of the food that we have an opportunity to eat.
Yes.
Or, you know, as it relates to, you know, even as it affects my health.
Yes.
You know, not just eating so quickly.
Right.
As it relates to being full or even weight loss.
Yes. Yes, Cindy, thank you so much for sharing that. And that is a perfect example of ways that we can be mindful. And I'll tell you guys, that's an area I am personally working on because I don't know, I must have been hungry as a kid or something because I shovel food down like there's no tomorrow. And it isn't good for your digestive system. You're still hungry because your brain is still catching up. Like, wait a minute, are we done here? Like, what's going on? You know, like, so I do try to be very, very mindful, and I think about things. And I'll tell you a really quick thing that I did over at the medical college. They had brought someone in that did mindfulness, and what she had us do was we each got a piece of Dove chocolate, and we had to look at it, smell it, really allow that sense, right? So that sense of smell, smells good. We had to unwrap it, so feeling the texture of it. At this point, I'm like salivating all over my fingers. I'm like, goodness gracious. But it was so interesting and really, you know, what is the texture? What does it feel like? And then to just put it in your mouth and taste it. Well, by then I was losing it. I was like, I've got to just shout out on this chocolate. But it really, you know, I invite you to think about that. Like the next time you're having a snack or something, to really allow yourself that opportunity. It's very interesting how different your eating experience becomes. So let's go ahead. Thank you so much for sharing. Let's move to our next slide. So as I mentioned just a couple of minutes ago, I'd like for us to think about, and don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to share the stressful experience. I want you to think about a stressful experience. Anyone had stress in their lives? Anyone? Anyone? Right. No. What? Yeah. We've all had stress. For the record, folks, we're talking about mindfulness here. We're not talking about how to get stress out of your life. This is a way to manage it, right? So that we can feel more physically, mentally, emotionally healthy, right? So what I want you to do is I want you to think about a stressful moment, and I encourage you to think on the scale of 1 to 10, let's go between like the 4 to 7 range. So worse than a paper cut, not as bad as a death in the family, okay? Can anyone think of it? Again, please, I'm not asking you to have to share. Just curious if something comes to mind in terms of a stressor you've recently experienced. Anyone got one in their head? Stressful experience? Looking around the room. It's okay, I'm not going to call on you if you guys raise your hands, really. Just acknowledge, you know, it's okay. All right, so I see some nodding. Curious, what were you physically, or what do you physically experience when you're stressed? Does anyone know, like, and it's all different, so it's not one size fits all, right? We all react differently. So I saw you nodding. Can you identify one thing that happens to you when you're stressed? One physical reaction?
Goes to my gut.
You totally get gut pain.
Yeah.
Like a gut wrenching, oh my gosh, I have the worst indigestion ever, or some shooting pain. Okay, thank you. How about anyone else in the room? What do you experience?
Or GI distress.
Lower GI distress, yeah. We'll leave it at that. Things start moving around, we've got some issues. Okay, yeah, and I heard you, Chad.
Your heartbeat raises.
Oh, yeah. Anyone feel like they're having, like, seriously, like, my gosh, am I having a heart attack? I'm so stressed out. My heart is racing. Sometimes our palms are sweaty, and you can feel like, you almost feel like chest pain. I call it, I stop breathing. I don't literally stop breathing, folks, but I feel like, so remember when we were taking those nice deep breaths during the arrival? That felt really good, didn't it? And I find that when I'm stressed, I stop breathing. I'm like it comes out really, really shallow. And all of these physical aspects that we're talking about, they all impact, I'm sure, again, no big surprise, they all impact what's going on inside of us. So when we're stressed, that impacts our heart rate, it impacts our blood pressure, it impacts so many aspects of it in a very, very negative way. So what I want you to think about is, what if we could let that go? Wouldn't that be a beautiful thing? Wouldn't that be a great thing? Or how about if that's too mind-boggling, you're like, Lisa, stop it already. Like, we're not gonna be able to let that go. What if we minimized it? What if we could control that by how we're thinking about things with our mind, by being in touch, right? By creating that opportunity. So let's talk more. Could we go on? So what I'd like to do is, my dear friend John is going to pull up a really great video. I've got like a 2-minute video, and it's from this awesome site called Happify, and that's in your resources, and I guarantee you will love it.
You may have heard this word mindfulness. It's become something of a buzz phrase of late. I'm going to give you one simple, serviceable definition, which is this. Mindfulness is the ability to know what's happening in your head at any given moment without getting carried away by it. Imagine how useful this could be. Just as an example, you're driving down the road.
A brief intermission. We'll come back, no worries. We'll just stay present, right?
And somebody cuts you off in traffic. How do you normally react? I think most of us, we normally react by having a thought, which is, I'm pissed. And then what happens next? You immediately, habitually, reflexively inhabit that thought. You actually become pissed. There's no buffer between the stimulus and your reaction. With just a little bit of mindfulness, in that same situation, you might notice my chest is buzzing, my ears are turning red. I'm having a starburst of self-righteous thoughts. I'm getting angry. But you don't necessarily have to act on it and chase that person down the road, screaming at them with your kids in the back of the car thinking you've gone nuts. Now, you might be thinking, don't I need to get angry sometimes? Aren't I justified?
I would say yes.
I would say yes, but probably not as much as you think.
The proposition
here is not that you should be rendered by mindfulness into some lifeless, non-judgmental blob. The proposition is that you should learn how to respond wisely to things that happen to you, rather than just reacting blindly.
And
that, my friends, is a superpower.
How do you get it?
How do you get it?
The way to get it
is through meditation.
I believe that meditation
and mindfulness are the next big public health revolution.
In the 1940s,
In the 1940s, if you told somebody you were going running,
they would have said,
who's chasing you?
But then what happened next?
But then what happened next? The scientists swooped in, they showed that physical exercise is really good for you, and now all of us do it, and if we don't, we feel guilty about it. And that's where I think we're headed with mindfulness and meditation. It's going to join the pantheon of no-brainers like brushing your teeth, eating well, and taking the meds your doctor prescribed for you. Let me just close by saying,
Mindfulness is
not going to solve all of your problems.
It's not
going to render your life a nonstop parade of unicorns and rainbows. Nonetheless, this is a superpower, and one that is accessible by you immediately.
So that got the cutest video. And I'm pretty sure the whole road rage thing speaks to just about everyone, whether it's you or somebody you know. I mean, I think we've all been there. And guess what? I've got tips for that. Who's excited? Right? I think everybody identifies with that. And by the way, did anyone recognize, was anyone thinking that guy's voice sounds familiar?
Yes.
Do you know who it is?
No.
Meditation is an ancient technique that trains the brain for the power of concentration. It's like a gym workout for your brain.
You got it.
Archaeologists have found meditation to be 5.5.
Thank you so much. Dan Harris was the good ear, and he is, if you're not familiar, he has been one of the anchor persons for Good Morning America and other really high-profile shows. So interesting story, and I'll tell you guys a good book if you're interested. Dan Harris wrote 10% Happier, and it's a great, easy paperback read. And what I love about Dan Harris is he was absolutely against mindfulness. He was like, what a bunch of crap this is. And he, you know, in his job interviewing with people, he had interviewed with all kinds of really amazing people involved in the world of mindfulness. And for a long time, he didn't buy into it. And then one day, and this may be something you guys already know, he had a complete meltdown on live television because of his stress levels and because of his inability to control them. And so he pursued mindfulness, and now he is living the good life. And he's, you know, he talks all over to different groups about his ability to really stay present in the moment, to not get caught up in things, to reduce the stress level. And let's talk about how much more heart healthy can we get than that, right? This is our ability to take care of ourselves. So I get pretty excited when I think about things like this, because simple things that you all can do right this very minute, that you don't have to go take a class, you don't have to go sit in a corner and go for 25 minutes or anything like that. Simple, easy practices. So if it's okay, let's continue and learn more about mindfulness as a superpower. So what I want to introduce you to you all is the concept known as notice, shift, rewire. So you all are familiar with the fight or flight response. So you know that little amygdala up in your brain that when you're faced with stress, it's, you know, should I run or should I stay and do something about it? You know, it literally is fight or flight. Well, what I encourage you with this, think about it this way. You know, so that a negative stimuli or perceived negative stimuli, let's say, you know, someone cuts you off on the road, right? So your initial response is to notice, how am I feeling? So we talked earlier about some of those negative stress feelings. So, you know, our stomach is clenching, you know, our hands, you know, we might be like tightening them up, or they might be sweating, whatever it might be. Now, here we have choice. Oh, isn't that exciting? We have choice. We can do something different about it. So now we can say, you know what, instead of going down that rabbit hole, because I know it's just going to stress me out and it's going to upset me for the rest of the day. And, you know, holding on to a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to die, right? Only you hold that grudge. It's a true story, isn't it? You walk around with a grudge. No one else knows your grudge. Only you are. So no one else knows how you're feeling about that unless you're telling them. And that's a whole nother story. That's an anger management class. We'll talk about that at 9. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So this is our opportunity to shift and say, you know what? I'm going to choose a different path for myself. I'm going to take a couple deep breaths. I'm going to, you know, change my station, whatever. And now that third piece is really enjoying that rewiring. I don't have to go down that path anymore. And that to me is very, very exciting because when you think about, again, I'm just going to pick on something so simple as road rage because it's something that I think pretty much, again, whether we're the driver or in the car, we at some point have an experience where maybe somebody else does something on the road that we don't appreciate. And so we think about, instead of getting upset, and they did that to me because they're a jerk and they hate all women, or we make up these crazy stories, right? Like, what? Where did you come up with that? But our mind sometimes goes there. This is our opportunity to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to stay in the moment. I'm not going to let myself get caught up in it. And it really is liberating. It's really empowering when you think about what that does for you. Because as we all know, I'm not saying anything that's new to people, stress kills people, right? So when you get upset over things time and time and time again, that can be very dangerous. So this is an opportunity for us to truly take the very best care of ourselves. I like to think about, I don't know if anybody has animals, but you know, for dogs, they have this thunder shirt that's supposed to be calming for them. I'm not 100% sure if it works. Anywho, I like to think about mindfulness as like your thunder shirt for your brain. So like it's calming you, right? It's saying, hey, you know what? You don't have to get worked up about this. You just hold on, hold on. So let's learn more. So what I'd like to do, if it's okay, if it's all right, I'd like to take just a moment and read this out loud, but I'd like to invite someone else to help me. So I'm curious if, just for like the really full opportunity to learn, and I'm probably going to pick on the people in the room because I know on the phone you might have it muted, and I know sometimes people want to talk over each other, but I'm curious, would someone mind just reading up to the first comma?
Mindfulness is paying attention on purpose.
Okay, how about to the next one?
In the present moment.
Fabulous, and you get a little one. Okay.
And not judgmentally.
Okay, and who wants to finish us off? Do you want to do it?
To the unfolding of experience moment to moment.
You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. It's so much better if we break it down. And I think it's fun to hear other voices. So I'm curious, what resonated for you? Was there a word or words that really you were like, ooh, this is interesting, or I'm curious, or what jumped out at you?
Non-judgmentally.
Non-judgmentally. Thank you for that honesty. Because I think we all like to think we're non-judgmental, right? We're all like, judge. How often are we doing, and again, I'm just going to go back to the road because I think that's something, again, we can all identify. How often are we putting judgment out there? Oh, truck driver, semi-truck driver. I think the road's all about them, right? Did I just put a judgment? That's not how I feel. But I'm just saying that's an example. Thank you. How about, what else? Is there anything else out here that jumped out? Yeah, John.
I like the idea of on purpose.
Yeah, on purpose. So it's not like, oh, this is just willy-nilly happening, but really it's the fact that we're paying attention on purpose. And isn't that great? If I was having lunch with you, John, I'd love the fact that you were paying attention on purpose to me. You were saying, you know, I'm going to be with you. Because has anyone ever had an opportunity where you're with another person and you know they're not with you? Let's be honest, they're looking at you, you're in the same room. They are somewhere else though, right? This is your opportunity. Mindfulness helps us to be there, to be present, just to be. How many things do we miss? Because we've either gone behind or we've forwarded, right? I heard this really great speaker once, and she talked about, she compared our brains to tape recorders. And she said, we spend so much time in rewind. Why did I say this? Why did I do this? We ruminate. We drive ourselves nuts. Conversely, we spend a large amount of our time in the future. I'll be happy when this happens. Oh, when this happens, we go there. What about just staying right here in the present? It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Let's learn more.
Moment to moment.
Moment to moment, yeah. Moment to moment, yeah. You know, I've seen some really interesting video clips too. They talk about like time with children. What do children want? Well, let's be honest. What mostly do most people want is time. They want time with you. And you'll see, you know, like a video clip or whatever of a well-meaning parent spending time with the child, but they're on their phone, right? So they're in the same room together. They're technically, I'm in the room with you. What's my level of presence? How mindful are we in that opportunity? Now, for the record, I'm not against technology. I'm not one of those that's like, but there's a time and a place for everything, right? And so that's important too. So kind of to what Cindy said earlier, there's actually some really interesting research out there about mindful use of technology. So, you know, we talked about with mindful eating, you know, like, where am I at? Am I really present, or am I, you know, doing the shovel thing, which I can be guilty of? Same thing with mindful technology. Where am I at? How am I feeling before I go online? Am I excited? Am I nervous? Am I breathing while I'm doing it? Sometimes people go into a mode where they just kind of like sitting there all stiff and they're on their technology and they're really not present. They're just sort of like passing time. And again, time and a place for everything. It's how mindful are we? So if we can, Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, and that's a picture of him right there. And don't worry, guys, on the phone or in the room, this is not an eye test. So sometimes people look at the slide, the dark slide with the picture on it, and they're like, oh, I can't read that. Please do not feel you have to read that. Simply, I wanted to point out Dr. John Kabat-Zinn is a very big name in mindfulness. He's done a ton of research. He's a pioneer in the field. And what he talks about are the 9 attitudes of mindfulness. And one of them refers to it as the beginner's mind. And I love that because we get to start fresh with mindfulness. So it's like putting on that child's view, right? You guys know kids, they're just open. They're open to everything because they've had no ability to put judgment on anything. They're just out there. They're like, oh, this is cool, whatever, I'm with you, we're playing, it's fun. And so I wanted to include this really interesting, it's called from Board of Wisdom. It says, a child's mind is like an open book. Yet as an adult, we just can't seem to get the book open. And isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting food for thought? Have you ever watched a child and how they're playing and just been like, gosh, I'm a little envious. I wish I could go back there, that simplicity, right? Everyone, we're nodding in the room. I mean, it's like, yeah, you know, the good news is you can get back there, though. You can get back to that power of presence, to that child's mind and that beginner mind. So if we could continue. This is really exciting, my friends, because this isn't just, Lisa Hare came in the room, she talked about some hogwash about mindfulness. This is actual evidence-based. Evidence-based. So I'll tell you, when I was doing my capstone, I read a lot around mindfulness, and it was so fascinating. I couldn't stop. And what I read a lot was the fact that there are not just emotional changes. There's actual changes to your brain. Isn't that crazy? That we actually can change the amount of gray matter in our brains. You know, you can still grow your brain. I really thought at one point in my life, I was getting all I got. Like, this was it, you know, like, you're good. Good luck with that. Like, here's where you're going. It's not true, though. It's a concept called neuroplasticity. And you can actually have the ability to reorganize those neural pathways based on your new experiences. And in case you're wondering, well, who is this guy on the screen? This is Richie Davidson. He and Dr. John Kabat-Zinn are the 2 biggest names that I would say today in terms of mindfulness. And he's an author, he's a professor, he's founded the Center for Mindfulness. Some really cool stuff. And really think about it. You know, it's a couple minutes a day. You can actually grow your brain, you can actually change the way you think about things. So even if you've been a lifelong pessimistic and you're thinking there's no hope, guess what? There's hope. I've got hope for you today, all right? So neuroplasticity, this is really about rewiring your brain. So congratulations. You have all learned a whole new skill set today. Now you can rewire brains. Isn't that exciting? Now, the challenge Aristotle says to us is we are what we repeatedly do. So what am I saying here? I'm saying that if you're finding that, gosh, I've been in this kind of negativity spiral, or I keep getting caught up in this, the good news is you can change it. So I always tell anyone that I meet with, you know, there's a good and bad news thing. The bad news is that control is an illusion. So that's the bad news, right? As much as we like to think we can control spouses, parents, children, friends, not really. The good news is we are in full control of ourselves. So this is a great opportunity for us to think about, where am I at? You know, how caught up in stress am I getting? And this is our opportunity to say, hey, you know what? I want to do some rewiring, right? I want to find some new pathways in my brain to be able to grow, to feel more present in the moment. I want to take better care of myself. All right, let's go ahead. So let's talk about the benefits. And I've been kind of teasing them out a little, but I really want to call these out because there's so many benefits to practicing mindfulness. There's so many. First of all, let's talk about performance. Whatever it is that you do, whether you're, so I'm a yogi. That's how I initially got into, that was my first blush at mindfulness. We do it at the end. For anyone that is not familiar with yoga, at the end we do something called Shavasana. And it's your opportunity to really just be fully present. Fully present, you can do guided meditation, things like that. It was in Shavasana that I first experienced mindfulness. I was like, wow, this is really cool. Didn't mean I still didn't have 17 things going on in my head. However, it gave me an opportunity to at least start working through them. So think about whatever it is that you do, having increased performance. Runners, let's take runners for example. Folks that are, or any athlete, right? They are in fact practicing mindfulness because they are very much focused with what they're doing. Right now, they're in the moment, right? They're running a race, they're right there. They're not thinking about what should I have for dinner tonight yet, right? So they're really thinking about that performance. Better decision making. I don't know about any of you, but I find that when I'm stressed, my ability to make decisions just goes down the toilet. Like, I'm just like, what should I wear? I have no clothes to wear. Clearly, I have no clothes to wear. I've got a closet full of clothes. What's the problem? The problem is when we get stressed, we can't make simple decisions, much less difficult decisions. So think about how that impacts you, right? Well-being and happiness. Is there anyone in the room or on the phone that feels they're at the top of their well-being and happiness? Thank you very much. I've got enough. I'm good. We are laughing in the room. So I think that might not be the truth. I think every single one of us might find an opportunity where we're like, hey, you know what? I could take it up a notch. Or I'd rather not go down this far when something upsets me. Maybe it just, you know, you hit a little rubble and you move on, right? Better immune functioning. This is not just about our emotional connectivity. You all have probably heard the phrase mind, body, spirit. It's all connected. It's all connected. And I'll tell you a very interesting story. This past spring, I got really sick. And it came out of nowhere. And it was the weirdest thing ever. And no one to this day can ever say like what it was, except for they put it on like a viral infection, which means we have no idea what the heck that means. We have no idea what got you. But I will tell you, I got sick and I was out for a while and it was really scary. And so I went through a battery of testings and in what my physician would be called as miraculous, I had a miraculous recovery. So as hard as I hit, I came right back up and I was like, I'm ready to go back to work. And he said, I don't understand what happened to you. And more importantly, I don't understand how you got back so fast. And I said, well, I will tell you, I practice mindfulness as a superpower and I may be Superwoman. So that's my superpower. And he laughed, we have a good laugh over it. But I really do speak the truth. Like, you know, I sort of, you know, give a little joke about it, but the truth is I do believe that took care of me. I really do believe power of positive thought, taking care of myself, really being present, not getting caught up in, you know, futuristic thinking. Am I dying? What's going on here? Because I started to go down that path, like what's going on? You know, when someone tells you you have to have a heart echo and you're like, well, I thought it was healthy a week ago, like scary stuff. So that kept me present. That got me back on the path. And to your point earlier, what you shared about your experience, I mean, I know for a fact that this impacts people positively in their physical health, in their ability to fight infection. There's a huge benefit. The next dot says smaller risk to relapse. That sounds a little harsh, but what I'd say is just like any good habit, the more you do it, the more it becomes part of your practice, right? So I'm a daily walker. I walk every day. I've been doing it for decades. I don't have to get up and be like, gosh, I wonder if I should walk today. Like I just go out and do it. So the more you do it, the more you're thinking about, gosh, you know what? How's my breathing today? You know, how am I present? The more it's on your mind, the more it becomes part of who you are. You don't have to think about it anymore. The last one I have on here is increased creativity. Hey, getting back to that right side of our brain, right? That's fun. Let's go back to like I was talking about earlier with the kids, right? Kids in the moment, having more fun, being more creative. Doesn't this all sound good? Who is pumped, right? Yes. All right, let's continue on. So I want to get to some simple practices. So these are things that you could do right now. You don't have to take a class. You don't have to go to a workshop. These are very, very, very simple things that you can do. This first one is one of my favorites. It's called the 4x4 breath. It simply means that you're taking a nice deep breath in and letting a nice deep breath out. You can count to 4, you don't have to. Sometimes people say I don't have time for a 4x4 breath. I say go with a 3x3, go with a 2x2. It doesn't matter. The whole point is that you're focusing, right? So maybe you're going into something, maybe you're going in, you know, for a meeting, procedure, whatever it might be, personal, professional. And right before you walk in, you know what, before I open that door, I'm just gonna breathe for a second. And just think about how differently you feel. Again, think about that fight or flight. Think about how this calms us, brings us to present. So all those flighting thoughts that are going through your head, oh my gosh, you know, should I have done this, or should I have done this before I went, or da-da-da-da. Calm that down. It's okay, you're right here. So that 4x4 breath, you do that anytime, all right? This next one is again, thinking about that notice, shift, rewire. Remember, we're talking about that through all these practices. This is allowing us to do this and focus on our breath. So now, as we're going to, you know, think about our current state, maybe think about a stressor you might be experiencing, and instead now we're shifting, we're just allowing ourselves, gosh, this delicious breath to just experience it. When was the last time you thought about your breath? You're like, never. That's cool. I hadn't either before I started doing this. Guess what though? It's free. You can go to it anytime and it feels good and it makes a difference. So now feeling that in, just allowing yourself to just relax. Just enjoy it. You can do this at a stoplight. You can do this. Don't close your eyes though. Don't, you know, be present. Don't time and place for everything. And then really that final piece is just rewiring. Just, you know what, wow, you know what, I've enjoyed a moment of stillness. It's okay, by the way, to enjoy moments of stillness. We're in such a busy, busy, busy society. We feel like we need to be going, 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 going. Guess what? We can just be. And that's really good for us, all right? This next one that I wanted to talk to you about, I've got a lot of doers that I meet with. So for those of you that are doers and list makers, this is a great opportunity where we can set a daily intention and do that mindfully. And what I encourage you to do is this allows us to get in what we call it the zone of productivity, right? So let's picture our runners, you know, they're getting in their zone. This is our zone of productivity. So again, we're going to, you know, start with noticing. We're going to think about the 3 things we want to accomplish, not 27, because so often, I don't know about you guys, but I wind up with 27 things on my list and then I'm mad that I can't accomplish them all. Come on, there's only 24 hours in the day. I mean, let's be real here. Starting out with those 3 things and then really being mindful of what we call unconscious commitments. And what does that mean? That means things like surfing the web mindlessly, you know, checking Facebook, you know, different things that can take us away. And again, I'm not anti-technology. It's just, I don't know about anyone else, but I have gotten lost on my phone. And I'm like, gosh, 2 hours have passed. And what was I doing? I don't even know. But there is a great sale at Target. You know, like, whoa, you know. So again, it's okay. It's just, is it getting in your way? Is it getting in your way? Writing down, so we're shifting, we're writing down those down. And then really the rewire is when you commit to saying, you know what, I'm going to accomplish those 3 things today. It's going to feel really, really good. And then you can move to 5. But hold on, 17. All right, hold on. Okay. But what's really important when we think about this is it's very important for us to think about our role. And so I encourage you, I'm a big fan of daily intentions. So, you know, setting a daily intention could be something so simple as, I'm going to make it a great day today. I'm going to have a great day today. Because does anyone ever wake up and you say, oh, it's going to be a crappy day today? Well, guess what your chances of having a good day are? Not very good, right? So if we say, you know what, I'm going to be amazing today. I like to use words like that. I'm pretty flowery. So if this is too much for you guys, if you're like, shh, no, don't go there. Find your own words, right? I have a yoga instructor, and her teenage daughter said to her, they were having a conversation. Her daughter said, Mom, you do you, and I'll do me. Okay, so like that's you, that's me. So I like to say, I like that one a lot. I learned so much from teenagers. So you guys, you do you, really. So if anything I share, like I said, doesn't resonate, that's okay. But I'm a big fan of starting every day with an intention. It's going to be a great day. It's going to be amazing today. It's going to be exceptional, whatever it might be. Sometimes we got to tell ourselves that story. All right. This is one of my very, very, very most favorite things to talk to people about. And it's called the instant reframe. And I love this because, and I alluded to this earlier, how often when we have stressors in our lives do we make up stories? We make up stories all the time, right? So they'll be like, well, she's looking at me intently. Clearly she hates my sweater. Really? How did I get that, right? So what I encourage you is when you're faced in any kind of situation is to take a moment to ask yourself, when your mind's spinning out of control and you're thinking, oh my gosh, well, is this for good? Ask yourself, do I know this to be certain? Is this the truth? Because a lot of times we make up stories. Ask yourself, do I know this to be true? Another great one, am I worrying over mere possibilities? How many times in our lives have we worried? By the way, I come from a long line of worriers. My mother could teach a class on it. She's so good at worrying. She worries about people she doesn't even know. I'm like, Mom, stop. Let me help you. How many times do you worry about stuff and then it's okay? And it's like, oh my gosh, why did I lose all that energy, all that? I think I lost a few pounds doing that. Like, why? Let it go. And the third part of this is, who would I be without these thoughts? So for those of you that do harbor a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of worry, what if you could just let that go? You could say, you know what, right now, I don't know the answer to that. And that's okay. That's all right. Because for today, I'm just going to be. And we'll take that as it comes. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Oh, my favorite, the driving. I told you guys this was coming. So I just found it so fitting, and I got so excited when I found it because I was like, wow, there's some really cool things we can do. And again, it's empowering because I think sometimes we feel like so powerless behind the wheel. Especially, I don't know, I used to have a teeny little sports car, and when I drove that car, I mean, I loved it, but on the expressway, I felt powerless. I was like, okay, like, whatever you guys want to do, because you could all run over me, right? I had no power on it. Now I realize, you know what, it's really that internal power, whatever it is that you're driving. So maybe you use a cue. Very, very important to have a cue. So maybe that cue is at a stop sign. You're going to work on that presence muscle. And you're going to say, you know what, I'm just going to take a good breath here. Now, again, remember, if there's traffic behind you, don't go into your full 4x4 because you might irritate people behind you. It's another problem. Let's stay with one, right? But just focusing on it. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to be present. I'm going to set an intention. Whatever it is, that's an opportunity. Maybe if you feel someone's cut you off, maybe they have, maybe we send them some compassion. I know, everyone just gave me that look like you have got to be kidding me. I will tell you guys, it works. Now, I'm not gonna lie. The first time it happened to me, it kind of came out like this. May you be safe! Because I was still pretty mad about it. The good news is the more you do it though, the easier it gets. So instead of harboring that anger and that frustration, just saying, you know what? May you be safe. I don't know what your life is. I don't know where you're going. I don't know what's going on with that person. Maybe they didn't mean to. I mean, do y'all ever do anything behind the wheel that you were like, gosh, I wish I hadn't done this? Or been with someone and been like, oh gosh, you just cut that person off. It's not like your spouse or your parent or your kids or whomever is a jerk. Mistakes happen. We're human. Let it go. Let it go, by the way, is one of my favorite mantras or intentions to see. I'm going to let go. Why hold on to it? Another one is just, building that. We talked about non-judgmental. Building that non-judgmental awareness by just accepting people. We're all just living, right? We're trying to live our best lives and be our best selves. I truly don't believe anybody wakes up in the morning and says, gosh, I really want to be a bonehead today. Like I want to be a jerk to other people. I think they get caught up in life and stressors. And, we can say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to accept. All right, let's keep going. I love this quote. It says, everything in your life is a reflection of a choice you have made. If you want a different result, make a different choice. It's really empowering, isn't it? We have choice. So if you find that any of these practices are really speaking to you, and again, I invite you to simply think about one. So if you think about all of it, it can be like, woo, there's a lot. Take one. Take one that you like and try it on. And notice the difference that it feels for you. All right? This is another thing that I just love to include, as we're talking about like being heart healthy and we're talking about, this power of being present and how good it feels. I would be absolutely remiss if I didn't mention just a few words on gratitude. I mean, I believe that we cannot show enough gratitude in this world. And I think so often, you guys know our brains are trained to go to the negative. You may or may not be aware of that. So we actually have to work twice as hard to find positivity. It's really easy to talk about when things aren't going well, right? We all got a story to share, right? But positives sometimes aren't as easy to go to. So this 3 good things practice, this is really a great thing to take with you. And that's simply to acknowledge 3 things that happen well. You can write it down. There's power to writing things down for anyone that's ever done any journaling or anything like that. There's a lot of power to putting pen to paper or type it either way. But even just sharing it. I love to, before I go to bed, I love to start my day with gratitude and I like to end my day with gratitude. I feel really good about this. Tonight it's going to be, I feel really great about this opportunity to be with you guys. I'm not going to lie. This has been really good for my heart. That's the good things. Why was it good? So why did it connect with you? And how did you feel? So really getting at that. So again, that's another one that I really, really like. And I think it's so important because gratitude can sometimes get kind of pushed under the rug. Like, oh, she knows that she's good at what she does, or she knows I appreciate her. Does she? When was the last time we talked about that? When was the last time you celebrated success for yourself? We're all so humble in this world. It's like, oh, I'm just doing my job. Oh, just part of a good team, right? Let's celebrate what's going well. Let's talk about those good things, okay? I love this one. It says, one small positive thought in the morning can change the entire outcome of your day. Is that the truth? Instead of, oh gosh, spilled my coffee in the morning and, my husband and I, it took us 5 minutes to have to clean it up. Wow, you know what? I got an opportunity to have a laugh with my husband over my clumsiness, and we laughed and we cleaned it up together, and it took half the time than it had been just me. So do you know what I'm saying? It's like rewiring to think about things. So instead of like this stunk, it's like, well, yeah, we turned it into a positive. Yesterday, I ran into a ladder because I was so focused. This is a true story. I was so focused. I saw somebody and I was walking and I didn't stop walking. And I was so into looking at her and I smacked right dab into like one of these huge ladders. I'm sure it was hysterical to see. And what I said to her is, wow, I was so into talking to you. I wasn't paying attention to anything else. And she goes, you are seriously mindful. And I was like, well, I got to kind of, I don't know, put the niche on that. I'm going to, hurt myself. But anyway, all right, let's continue because I know I want to be mindful of time. There's resources in your handouts if you're interested. There are an abundance of resources out there. If you're interested, guys, there is no shortage. You can put in mindfulness and be there forever. I mean, there's so much, but it really depends on what speaks to you. Happify, that was the site we looked at. There's some other great videos Dan Harris has done. They're all equally entertaining and informational. Mindful and Center for Greater Good are two of my favorite sites. If you have an Alexa, did you know that your Alexa can do mindfulness? You want to do a 1-minute mindfulness? Alexa can do that for you. So if you're thinking, I don't have a lot of time, you don't need a lot of time. This is about being present, right? It's an opportunity. There's also some free apps out there. Again, I'll warn you guys, they'll be free for a little while and then they'll want you to join just like every website, right? Eventually they're like, come on, premium package. That's up to you. It depends how it speaks to you. So, okay. And I have just 1 minute left, and if it would be okay, I would love to have the honor to wrap us up with a refocus meditation. Would that be okay with everyone? All right, I'm seeing nods in the room. I'm going to assume there's nods on the phone. So let's go ahead and kind of the same way we started out, we can just go ahead and get nice and comfortable. Again, both feet on the ground if that feels good to you. Hands in the lap or on your table. And again, I just invite you, if that felt good, to close your eyes. Go on ahead and do that. And again, if you'd rather have your eyes just gazing softly at the floor, you can certainly do that too. And right now, I just want you to breathe. Just breathe as you normally would. There's nothing special to do, nothing special to make happen. Really draw your attention to that physical sensation of each breath. Noticing the rising and the falling of your abdomen or your chest. You're just noticing that air moving in through your nose, through your mouth. And with each breath, simply guide your attention as best as you are able to your breathing. I want you to be kind to your busy mind. Many times and over again, you'll find yourself distracted. You'll find yourself thinking about other things, both in meditation and in life. That's okay. Your mind